and a new accomplished professional as a speaker for the day, Dr. Anil Khandelwal Saab, whom you can see right on the screen. I welcome you, sir, for sparing your time and
Thank
consenting
you.
to be with us and enlightening all of us, because your books, your thoughts, your speeches can be accessed through online platform, but having a presence, having a look and feel, having the vibrations, and having a direct speech and dialogue adds to the value further. And it's so great for us that you have accepted our invite, and we are going to cherish this for another 1 hour. If you kindly allow, I would like to give a brief introduction. Of course, introducing a personality like you is a very challenging job, and I would try to hold good on this. Sir had been a chairman and managing director of Bank of Baroda and Dena Bank. He is known for his pioneering work in transforming the Bank of Baroda as a valuable brand. He's a multi-awarded banker and holds distinction of being the only Indian banker to get Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to the financial sector by Asian Banker Singapore. Then he has also received Lifetime Achievement Award from the National HRD Network. He's an author. He's a speaker, prolific speaker, writer, and professional independent director also. He authored the well-known Khandelwal Committee report on HR reforms in public sector banks. Again, a very exemplary report which has ensured so many big changes in the banking sector, especially the public sector banks in India. He has been a UNDP consultant on HRD and training to Banking Reforms Commission, Government of Tanzania, and visiting professor on leadership with Asian Management Institute, Manila. He has been on the board of several committees and several companies, and an advisor on leadership training on financial sector to international consulting firms such as Accenture, Booz and Company, Hewlett Packard, KPMG, and so on and so forth. Sir is known for his leadership style and leadership abilities, and had been a member of the first Banks Board Bureau, which was set up by Government of India for appointing full-time directors on the board of public sector banks, and also to examine and recommend reforms to be initiated for strengthening the financial sector of the country. Dr. Khandelwal is a well-known thought leader, CEO, coach, and a governance advisor to many companies and advisory firms. He has authored a book, Dare to Lead, which has been published by a reputed publisher called Sage, and was one of the best-selling book, and has recently authored and released a book with the title of Transformational Leadership in Banking: Challenges of Governance, Leadership, and Human Resources in a Digital and Disruptive World. There is much which can be added to his profile in terms of his accomplishments, his contribution, but it would be great if we hear it straight from sir with his experience sharing today, working as the CEO, because this is the CEO Dialect series, and also a big guidance to the independent directors as to what should they do, what should they don't do, how should they question the board, and how should they question in a manner that that brings the difference. So I'm sure the talk is going to be really interesting. I won't come in between, and will pass on the mic to Dr. Khandelwal, please.
Thank you, Neeraj, for a very generous introduction, I should say. And it lifts my spirits. Thank you indeed. And to provide me this opportunity to talk to a very wise group of people who are matured in life, and I can see some of the faces. They're very experienced people, very wise people who have seen the good and bad in the industry over a period of time, and have huge experience. If you really, of these 100 people, if you count an average experience of 25 years, I have to deal with 2,500 years of experience this afternoon. It's really very challenging task. But let us see, I will like to share my experience as to what is this business of board, why it is becoming increasingly challenging to be a board member, yet there are things about boards that many of us would like to understand more about that. Your Companies Act, your X committee, Y committee, Z committee, LODR, SEBI, Clause 49. This is all technical side of the board governance. Today, I am not talking about the technical side of board governance. I'm not on the absolutely on that, because there is so much of it and one can really read them, so many training programs for them. I am today, my task is to share some of the intangibles of the board as to what exactly happens in a boardroom. What is it that some boards are hugely successful and some boards are disasters? As the famous management thinker Peter Drucker once said, after a consulting assignment in a large corporate in America, he gave his initial report of one line, and then he said, bigger report will follow. And this one line was that the real problem in this organization is that the bottleneck is at the neck of the bottle, that is board and the top management. Now, my own experience is that an organization performs the best when its top management and board has alignment. When the top management, I don't say that all the time they should agree or there has to be consensus, but I'm talking of alignment, that they are thinking together on the central purpose and idea of the company, as to why this company is there, what is it that we need to do. I tell you, from my experience, I can share that many a times board ends up doing clerical work of compliances, of getting into some figure and spending huge time, or getting into some accounting thing. Not that this is not important, it's important, but it cannot be that important that it hijacks the board main agenda. And therefore, I always say, and the topic of my today's talk is, are directors missing out on their leadership moments in the board? There are opportunities in the board. When directors are called upon to share what they exactly feel, when their experience and collective experience must come to the play to help the company look into things which are beyond numbers, where directors with their experience must bring out what is not mentioned in the notes, or they must bring out what is the competitive landscape is all about. Are we missing trees for woods, or are we missing woods for trees? Is there something we are not able to see? I think that exactly is the role of the board, where every board member brings his or her knowledge and experience to help the company. Now, if that is the purpose, directors can be most valuable resource for the company. And if that is not there, they are lost into the routine of compliances and doing only shuffling through the papers and huge mounds of papers and so many agendas and long, then the same talented resource becomes highly underutilized. and board can become a risk to the company. Mind my words. Board can be very valuable asset, and it can be equally great risk to the company. Now, this brings me, who is actually responsible for the board? The key person is chair of the board, the chairman of the board. And in today, I'm going to share with you several anecdotes which I bring from my experience without quoting the companies. The role of chairman actually is to steer the board in the right direction, to really use the experience and skills of everyone, to ensure that board remains on ethical journey, to ensure that board does not flounder onto operational routine items and remains, fixed on its central agenda of strategic thinking and strategic role. I think that is number one. Sometimes some of us, as a chair, by our own talking and sermons and need to talk, we hijack the board. If the chair itself talks half an hour, 45 minutes, that I would call the most dysfunctional chairman of the, because experience can be an asset, experience can be a liability. It's an asset when I steer it properly. It's a liability when I start giving sermons. When I was there, I did this. When I was there, I did this. And I have seen many boards discussions going on from 10 o'clock till around evening dinner time, because the productivity of the board is hijacked by either the chairman or some directors. I think the most important thing is the productivity of the board. How board transacts its business. Imagine you spend 10 to 12 hours, suppose, in a particular day in a board meeting. And when the executive management comes to know that nothing significant has been transacted, what do they will think of the board? Or the main decisions have not been taken. Soon the message goes that this board is dysfunctional. So I think it's most important to keep the board productive. Just because board of directors in the hierarchy is on the top, it does not earn the reputation of being the wisest in the company. It will earn a reputation provided it performs its role very clearly and carefully. So board should know when to take charge, when to partner, and when to stay out of the way. Now, taking charge means the main role of the board is selection of the CEO. I'm not talking of public sector boards. I'm talking of currently private boards. Ensuring that you have the most competent director from different sections or specializations. To set the ethical and ethical architecture of the board, that if anything, that board takes responsibility for enforcing ethics, and also, of course, deciding the compensation. This is something, taking charge. The second is when to partner with the company and CEO. It's on strategy, risk management, talent and leadership, and the culture of decision making. This is the key role of the board. And board should definitely stay out of operational matters, day-to-day operational matters, non-strategic matters, and items which are not central to strategy. So you can see in this that board is the fulcrum of good governance. First of all, we have to recognize every director and a potential director that the board is the fulcrum of good governance. Board of a corporation has therefore a huge responsibility for self-regulation, for adherence to sound principles, consistent with law, ethics, and proprietary. I will come little later. Board cannot afford to be inconsistent with the law of land. It cannot be supporting unethical transactions or unethical dealings. Board has to maintain at all time proprietary. Thousands eyes look at the board, and they must see that board is not faltering on these basic principles of law, ethics, and propriety. Can we go to next slide, please? Anyone is doing from there? Manoj? Okay, I will. Give me some time. Manoj, can you put my slides, please? Just
Sir,
a minute.
Manoj is doing it.
Acha, Manoj is doing it?
Yeah, Manoj is doing it, sir. Manoj, can you ensure the next slide, please?
I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So the key issues in board leadership effectiveness are like this. Engaged directorship. Being director is the easiest thing, but to be a good director is a challenge. Now, engaged directorship means directors who are comfortable with the central idea of the company. What could be central idea of the company? Like why this company exists, whom it serves, how it can flourish, how it meets competition, its readiness, its competitive strength. Now, I think, Manoj, you have changed too fast. Please come to previous slide. Yes, yes. Directors who are comfortable with the central idea bring vital content to boardroom. I have seen some director walking from one board meeting to another board meeting without reading papers. They can be biggest liability to the board. And they can be biggest asset to a careless CEO who wants to run the company his own way. He definitely wants a group of directors who are casual and who don't take interest. Work well with company executives and work collaboratively. You just imagine now, I was once on the board of a Maharatna company which had a business which we needed to understand. And I requested the CEO to get me a general manager who can spend several hours with me to understand the business of the company, how it works, what happens, how you create profits, what are regulatory issues. Now, unless a director spends time, good amount of time, you cannot participate in the discussion just because you are a chartered accountant, just because you are a lawyer, just because you are somebody MBA. I think these degrees are to help us create a fertile mind that we can understand. But I cannot say that tomorrow I go to a nuclear power corporation and I would understand its business. We need to understand how things happen here, what is its central idea, how and what of this company and its stakeholder. It's extremely important. When you take over the board, you can demand actually from the company to give you ideas on that. Some companies, I have seen some multinationals put a long induction program for the prospective director. Long induction program for the prospective director. So this is your right, you can do that. Now, yesteryear mindsets, skills are irrelevant in a digitalized and disruptive environment. Let me tell you. Tomorrow, if I say I've been on the board of 10 companies, I know what all this is all about. This is bunkum today. We must understand absolutely differently that today's world is in a disruptive environment, in a digital environment. We must understand very carefully. And therefore, we should always be in a learning mode. Only competent boards can engage with issues. I've been in the bank, and thanks to, sometimes directors are nominated from areas where they find it difficult to understand modern banking, the treasury, the credit, because sometimes under some categories directors are nominated and I can see their dilemma. So unless they decide to learn, unless they decide to really spend time, so directorship is not a perquisite, it's a hard work. It's a very hard work if we want to contribute. Now, yesteryears, it was all about monitoring, control, but today roles demand digital competence, risk management competence, entrepreneurship, and business acumen. All monitoring control is taken over today by the technology. It can give you 100 kinds of monitoring reports. It can give you million kinds of things as far as monitoring and control is required. So you have to redefine what is the control by the board in a digital circumstances. What is it that digital world can produce for you, what you should necessarily control? Other thing I find in the board, which is rarely discussed, are the two key stakeholders, customers and employees. If you are in let us see a bank, for example, who is most important? Customer and employees. Today banks have over 100,000 employees, over 50 million customers. What happens to them? Are board demanding or director demanding a customer survey? Are they demanding employee survey? Does the board have discussion, half-a-day discussion on how our customers feel? What are they wanting? Are directors wanting to go to field and understand the customer's feeling as to how do they experience the product of your bank or product of your organization? I think it's very important. Normally a question comes, should directors go to the field? Should directors be, some CEOs don't like that director going to field or understand. I strongly believe that if you want directors to contribute, they must understand the field wisdom as to what is happening in the field, how our products are experienced, how are we facing competition, what is the next door competitor is doing. So I think there is a whole lot of things that directors need to do. Next slide, dear. Manoj? Yeah. Second is understanding, as I said, of the company's business, competitive landscape. Now, I'll tell you something. Let us see a bank today. Since I come from there, I can give you examples. Today's competition, let us say for X bank, is not only from Y bank and Z bank. Today's competition is from anybody who has a customer. The competition is from Amazon, the competition is from Google, the competition is from Walmart, because all of them have customers. They have their payment banks, they have their banks. So directors have to get involved as to what it means in a digital environment to face this kind of competition. Who is taking away our business? Some searching questions. You see, what happens? The CEO will always come, we are doing very well, our deposits are growing, our advances are growing. So whenever my people brought to me these kind of things, I like to know that, look here, let us say we are growing at the rate of 20%. I want to know what percentage of branches are not growing, or they're growing below 10%, below 5%. What is our HNI portfolio? How? So I think one of the role of directors without finding fault is to really dissect the reality, to ask right questions. You need not be an expert to ask a right question. Asking a question, I give you an example. On our board, we used to have a ex-director of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He spoke very less, but once he spoke, it set the entire board thinking. To give you an example, we used to bring that, look here, Bank of Baroda being an international bank, we open a branch here, we open a branch in that territory, this, that. So the board job is to ask the right question. This gentleman said, would you gentlemen bring a strategy for international operations? Because you are simply bringing individual, putting a stamp of the board in opening a branch in, let us say, Thailand or in Australia. What does it mean? What are you trying to do? So can you bring a strategy paper on international banking? I think this was one of the very good questions. And that led to a study group within the bank we appointed, and we made a presentation to the board. And the same board decided, why not? Being the second largest in international, we actually put a what you call a sub-line of our logo, India's International Bank, because we were over 100 offices and we came out with a very clear strategy of international operations. So what I'm trying to say, how directors' questions can lead to policy changes. In another board, the organization brought a survey of human resources, and the survey consultants had pointed out the company has got 80 marks out of 100. So everyone was in a celebratory mood. Oh, very good. Our human resource policies are very good. Fantastic. Now, I come from this area, so I went deeper into this and I saw there are two concerns in the survey which had come. A whole lot of people appreciated the organization for its welfare, for its heart and whatever. Two things they pointed out, that the promotion policy, they were, especially in the senior management cadre, was a real problem. And second, they wanted organization to be a more listening organization. So as board was discussing, I said, shall we examine these two items as to what exactly, because they are very interesting items, that they are commenting on the promotion policy. And when a small group went into, we were flabbergasted that, can you imagine that in the senior management grade, there was a promotion policy from at a very senior level, where there were marks for failing in the promotion. So I asked the CEO, how can it happen that if a senior executive has failed thrice, he is given marks for that, for next promotion? He said, look here, everyone is very good. Why they should lose an opportunity? And we argued that this is a perverse thinking in the world. If a person has failed, we are giving him incentive next time. So I can tell you what board can actually deliver and do, provided different board members can allocate responsibilities of their specialization and can look into, with great seriousness, various matters. So a whole lot of things come to board. First of all, I can tell you, sometimes so many items come in the board, especially in large system for PSU, you feel whether you are in a paper company or you are in some gas company or oil company. So many mounds of paper that I think you need to manage, as I say, productivity of the board. You need to manage papers. So we introduced that every agenda will carry not more than 2.5 page to 3 page summary. What is the background of issue? What is wanted and why it is wanted? Your recommendations. And We don't need any original project report. Such a 200-page project report will be enclosed. We are not interested. If it is important, put it in annexure, again not more than 2 pages. So first of all, directors must manage their own productivity. So many papers, so many items, so many things. And then what happens, after we have spent time on some nitty-gritties, then we say, okay, there ho rahi hai, now I have a flight ticket, I have to go to Bangalore, I have to go to Chennai, and I have to go, and then important issues are passed on. I'm telling you the actual processes in some of the boards. Therefore, productivity of the board is in the hand of directors. Now, directors' role is that they talk less, but they talk substantive matter, substantive thing they talk. There's no point giving a big sermons or bringing whole lot of anecdotes and experiences. The board has to be a very business-like board. If you want to have fun in the board, you can have an evening dinner and dine and dance. But the board meeting per se has to be very business-like and very productive board. Unproductive and dysfunctional board is a risk to company. That's what I'm trying to say. Then preparation. If you have too many boards, it is a difficult proposition. Some of my friends boast, I'm on 15 boards, I'm on 20 boards, I'm on X board, Y board, this board, and with so many committees, only God bless us. If you ask me honestly, if you want to do a sincere job in the board or committee, I would find more than 3 boards a sure invitation to be unproductive, unless you are on a Trojan horse and you are an extraordinary genius person. That's my experience. The other thing is dealing with conflict of interest, key lever of governance. If you look at what has happened in Yes Bank, what has happened in ICICI Bank, what has happened in DHFL, they are all instances of conflict of interest. I don't want to get into the, or IL&FS. If you want to, there is enough material on this, I don't want to get into. Somewhere our wise board members did not pay attention to this conflict of interest. And I can tell you, on some of the boards, very wise people with good designation and educational qualifications were there. This remains, and this has brought many legal provisions to tighten the directors, especially independent directors, because if you look at Companies Act, if you look at whatever act you want to see, there is so much pressure on independent directors. Sometimes people think whether I should be there, and this has happened because gross instances of dismanner, neglecting one's role have come. This is a fact. So therefore, gentlemen, it's your choice how many boards you want to be there, what you want to contribute, and whether you want to stay relevant or irrelevant on the board is your choice. Next, dear. Next. Manoj. I have discussed this. Next, you can go to next. Yes. I will close my discussion and open for this thing. Finally, it is about speaking up in the board. As somebody commented, sometimes the board looks like an assembly of deaf and dumb people. They don't speak when they need to speak. The main lever of board members to practice leadership is through speaking up. Speak up to articulate on issues with clarity, to point out gaps in proposals, to point out inconsistencies, to point out policy violations, to point out ethical deviations, to point out issues of propriety, issues of conflict of interest. If you ask me, this slide is the most important slide for the directors. And for, I can Neeraj, do I have 5 minutes more?
Yes,
Neeraj?
sir. Yes, sir.
Do
Very
I
much.
have-
Yeah,
Okay.
you
So-
can go up to 5-10 minutes. You can take, no problem.
Okay. So I will like to give you some real things. When I say speaking up is the most important thing, the proprietary. You are a member of the board. You see, there was a board, I'll be very clear. And a proposal came in the board to sanction, this was 15 years back when the mobile had just come, to sanction mobile to all the directors with unlimited expenses. And the dilemma, it came before me. Actually, this came for confirmation. Previous board had sanctioned itself, it came for confirmation. It was my first board meeting in a company. So I said, look, gentlemen, this is a moral hazard where board sanctions itself a facility like this for non-executive directors who come for a board meeting once in a month. I think it's a moral hazard. So I was really the two directors suggested that I have no option but to approve it because it was decided by the previous board. So I said, okay, you have a point, but let me put my dissent on this, that this will cause moral hazard. And the proposal was withdrawn. Was it not a case of speaking up for an ethical issue of proprietary or impropriety? And the message was very clear. And I'm sorry to share that this was going through. This was going through, this proposal. Second instance, I can tell you innumerable on proprietary. In another board, private company, the non-executive chairman, half a dozen resolution came to board for giving him power to raise bank loan, to settle with all kind of things came. It had actually gone through. I had arrived late in the board meeting. I was shuffling the papers and I said, look here, how a non-executive chairman can perform so many executive functions? And I was counseled practically by every board member. This is a very small issue. Let us not, After board meeting was over, I was very disturbed. I wrote a letter to the company. And company had to change. I wrote to the chairman of audit committee, who was one of the best known name in the country, that look how with you as chairman of audit committee, this thing is happening in this company. I know when you raise these kind of issues, directorship will not come to you, I can assure you. But is that our agenda, or contribution of protecting the ethical architecture is your agenda? In another instance, asymmetry in the directors' compensation. 5 directors, independent directors. One director gets 20 times more commission than the other director. So other director, they got 5 lakhs. This director was getting 91 lakhs. And nobody bothered. So the question was simple, that look here, it's not about compensation. It's about, is there something this director is asked by the company to do? Then let us know as a board member. So what I'm trying to say is there are plenty of opportunities in the board to speak up. I think sometimes decency, pliability, amicability, consideration of future opportunities for directorship, they all prevent us to ask right questions at the right time. And therefore, the title of my subject today is, are we missing our leadership moments in the board? What is leadership? Leadership is influencing. This is not to be a fault finder in the board. This is to set the board on its ethical track. This is to ask right questions at right time. And I can tell you, if that is the contribution any director can make, if nothing else, that director will be most blessed and satisfied about his contributions. I think board is a very sacrosanct place to contribute. It determines the fate of the company and thousands of its employees and customers. And therefore, it is your right, rather a moral duty, to raise the right question at a right time if you think. Now, if these things were done, Yes Bank would not have become what it became. Many of the people in many organizations, and we have 6,000 listed companies. How come year after year, only 2 companies appear in international ranking on ethical companies, that is Wipro and Tata. There are many other. The point I'm saying is that today international investors are also looking at companies which are ethical, which practice strong governance. I would like to stop here because I'm aware that we need time for discussions. I have tried to give you good amount of anecdotes. I have so many anecdotes. I can give you practically on everything. Like board evaluation, this is a current fashion to evaluate the board. So every year something comes, evaluate. What has happened of that? Has any board removed any director for his dysfunctionality or not speaking at all? No. So I think we have this cultural problem of not speaking. I don't know who can make us speak unless we decide to speak. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you
I
so much,
finished.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for such a insightful and engaging talk, helping us clearly understand right from the beginning as to what board is all about, because in many cases this sort of clarity is not there, which restricts us from understanding our role and our possible engagements which can bring some value, and then sharing very interesting examples uh, as to how independent directors can be more effective, how they can develop a character and accumulate the courage, to raise questions and challenge the board in terms of their engagements for all moral hazards, for all conflicts of interests, and how really they can add value. Of course, a very loud message when you say that going beyond the engagements with the 3 boards could be a great challenge. I really find it as a great message, because the way we consider opportunities and accept them puts us in soup and challenge of really researching, working, and doing our homework for any sort of contribution. So let's look for the discussion. I can see participants eager to ask their question, and if I invite, if you allow, should I invite them to speak up? We have 220 5 participants in
Wow.
today's talk who have attended. And I can see, good questions coming up. So, am I allowed to take up questions, sir?
Sure, most welcome.
Okay. Mr. Narendra, would you like to come first? Sir, unmute your mic, please.
Unmute, please.
Yeah. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for your really clear talk. It was one of the best that I have attended. I have two simple questions. One, uh, there is a lot to be desired as far as the PSU management is concerned and their performance and all, but still we find that almost 50% board positions lie vacant over there. How will they achieve their board performance or the company performance? My question number
I don't know really. I don't know the answer, but you have really hit the nail on head. PSU, let me tell you, my experience is with all its problem, one thing I always think that I am the controller of my destiny. It's my bad luck if half of the directors are not there, not nominated. But with whatever contingent I have got, they are resource and I can run the show, and we have demonstrated that 2005 when we took over, the bank was really sliding, number 4 position on every front, technology not happening, credit growth 0.2% against industry credit growth of 25%. Mayhem of a kind. Now, we did with the help of our directors. Same directors who were part of previous same directors. I think that while that is very important that all directors should be there, but if all are not there, sometime it can be blessing in disguise.
Thank you, sir.
And so you can do with a smaller lot as much as so.
True.
Well, your point is very well taken, but I can't answer this point. I can only say, don't get hijacked or hamstrung by constraints. Managing constraint is the role of CEO and the board chair.
Sir, secondly, you just said that, of course, we should, the board members and particularly independent directors should speak up and ask the right question. Now, this is basically making, as you yourself mentioned, making yourself unpopular and maybe next time goodbye. So this is a vicious circle. So if you don't speak up, you don't contribute effectively. If you speak up, you may not be there. So what?
I will tell you, it is not that every time you speak up, you are in trouble. I can tell you.
Yes, sir.
You speak up, the way you speak up is important.
Okay.
If you speak up persuasively and telling the board how this aspect is important, and I'm sure that in 80% cases you are heard, but there may be such great issues of principles where you may have to take a position even if you are a solo player in the board. You may have to quit, but then you leave a legacy. So please understand what is your motive. Your motive is contribution or multiplication of directorship, popularity contest. He's a very good man. He never speaks. He's always with management. You know, he always smiles. You want that reputation? Fine. You will be on many boards, I can assure you. But if you want to say he's a very straightforward man, he is able to speak up things. Occasionally he disagrees, but he's a man of principle. So it's for us to choose what we want to choose in life. And of course, courageous actions always bring the create collateral damage personally. But that's it. That's why.
Very true, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. And
Great.
thank you, Mr. Neeraj, for allowing me.
From Narendra, I'm moving on to Mr. Kameshwar Rao. Mr. Rao, can you come in, please? Mr.
You
Kameshwar
can
Rao.
also introduce little
Yeah.
bit that you are on some board or
Yeah,
Yes, that will be great.
what are you up to?
I'm very
Okay.
happy to hear Anil ji. I am Kameshwara. I'm a cost accountant from Hyderabad. I'm attending this IACA's first meeting now. I'm happy to hear you saying to be independent directors in the board with courage and to speak up. Now, my doubt is many companies, the agenda papers are not prepared well in advance or circulated. They just come one day before the meeting and then can you ask the board that you postpone the meeting for another 3 or 4 days after circulating the meeting minutes? Though there is a schedule that we have to have at least 1 week in advance the agenda papers, they don't come at all. See, in such circumstances, what is the stand to be taken?
See, I will tell you, you definitely can get your viewpoint recorded that if agenda papers come late, you are not able to go through and contribute. Because some organizations always sends agenda paper on the last minute. And I think directors should come together to say that's very difficult. I don't say in the very first time you say postpone or you, but I think in the board, have a discussion on this agenda paper itself. I have faced it, you face it, and organizations continuously in a deviant manner continue to repeat it. Then you need to take a little hard. You must get it recorded first of all. And second thing, say, how can I contribute if you send agenda papers a day in advance? You are well within your rights. But I think you should, I'm sure, like you, other colleagues on board also feels like that. So I think on some issues, you also need to create a collective consensus. It's not always fighting, but persuasive consensus that look here, this is not good for the board. But you are well within your right. Yeah.
Great. So from Mr. Rao, I'm moving on to Mr. Zarir Panthaki. Can you share your introduction and your question, please? Please unmute yourself, sir. Mr. Zarir, can you unmute yourself, please? Is my voice reaching you, Mr. Zarir? No, we can't hear you, sir, at all. Sir, can you hear me? Mr.
I can
Zarir?
hear you.
No, Mr. Zarir, I think he's speaking up. Can you unmute yourself, sir, please, first? Or in the meantime, by the time you unmute yourself, can I move on to Mr. Anirudh Shenwai? Anirudh, can you
move fast a little bit so that we don't waste time. Move fast, please.
Yes, very much.
Thank you. Sir, very good presentation. I'm Chartered Accountant Aniruddha Singh, independent director on the board, independent director on the board of a company implementing the smart city project conceived by Union Government of India. My question to the honorable speaker is, in this project, what I have seen for past years, as per the constitution recommended by the board, the board, hello, am I not here? As per the
No,
constitution,
I can't make out anything. There is some.
director on a company which is implementing the smart city projects as per smart city mission of Government of India. Okay. In this company,
Neeraj, can you explain to me the question? What exactly is this? Eh? Yeah.
I am independent director of a company
I can't make out anything. Can we take some other question, then we come back to him?
Yeah, can I request Ms. Rupa Vora to come in, please?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mr. Khandelwal. How are you?
Rupa, you are here?
Yes, very much. It's so nice to hear from you, and I think what you say is always wisdom that comes out. And I'd like to know the role of the board, actually, in shaping the culture of the organization. I was wondering the role of the NRC really, in particular, in addressing the culture of the company and the competence versus the character, competence and character of the company, and the role of the NRC there, and how the NRC can guide the company. Can you please elaborate on the role of the NRC?
Yeah. NRC, as long as it is not hijacked by the promoter, that is the first condition. Make sure it is not hijacked by the promoter, is not allowed to attend NRC meeting. And even if he forces himself, he is not allowed to talk there. If he does not stop, I think that is where I am saying speaking up, training is very important. That you don't require training in Companies Act. I'm not suggesting speaking up training. I want to open a speaking up academy for directors. How many directors will have courage to tell promoter that, sorry, I think let's do our job. So one is you are changing culture of the company by that. Culture change is primary. It's not a strategy. Peter Drucker said, culture eats a strategy for breakfast. Culture is so important. And you change the culture. You see in some board meetings, when the promoter is not director, not only promoter, his son, both of them comes and they hog the limelight, they talk. Now it's very delicate affair to tell them, but then some directors have done it very successfully, very persuasively, very successfully, and also paid the price also. So that's all. It's all in individual. This board is nothing but a place to exercise your leadership.
Yes. I think that's very important.
Hmm?
It's a very important
And
takeaway.
Rupa, you can
Absolutely.
question me if you think I'm talking something which I have not practiced.
No, absolutely. You have done what you speak, so you walk the talk for sure.
Rupa has been one of the finest colleague director with me somewhere.
Great, sir. So I'm moving
Very
on to Mr.
knowledgeable.
Sanjay Sardar.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the very nice information and experiences you shared. I have two questions. One is in continuation with the earlier question which you addressed. There are certain informations, especially with related to numbers, which are tabled on last minute. I mean, to be tabled. So, what stand one can take as an independent director? Because I mean, you have to review this information just in the meeting, especially the numbers. And second question is like about related party transactions. So whatever is reported to review, that we know. But how to really investigate and see which is not reported?
Now, this is where homework is required. Dig deep. Dig deep. It's not that only one single board meeting. When the board is over, then all agenda papers are with you. You dig deep. If there is something, you have a right to seek clarifications, even post-board meeting, and write to the company. The thing is, and I would rather say, try persuasion first. When you say, what is stand? Opposition takes a stand, not the directors. Directors must get into the persuasive art of getting things done. If it fails, then you can take a stand. That look here, this is not acceptable, and I think you should also have fellow directors. You must have a consensus on few key issues in the board. It's not that you are solo, unless you are so unlucky that even on very rational issues, other directors do not support you. But then there is an option of quitting such a board. Nobody forces you to be on a board.
Sir, I will just like to add. I mean, my question was different. I mean, I am currently a board member, independent director at Suyog Telematics Limited. Everything is well. I mean, board is good. Working is fundamentally good. Everything is perfect. My question was like, I mean, how do we really check? I mean, if something is not reported, whatever is reported, everything is in line.
No, but what is that something? That means you know that something.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, for example, there may be
You
10
should trust.
RPTs.
So what is
We,
reported?
9 are
My
reported,
dear,
one is not, and we don't know
my
which one is not.
dear, you should trust what is presented until you discover that it was not reported. I say hypothetical question. You should trust what is submitted.
Great. Can I now move on to
I
the
think we
next
can, yeah.
question,
Yeah, sure.
from Mr. Radheshyam Soni. Mr. Radheshyam, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. Sir, my question was the same one that Mr. Sanjay Sada recently raised. And I got the reply of that my query also. Thank you very
No,
much.
I am not getting you once again. What did you say?
Sir, my question was only the same question that Mr. Sanjay Sada recently raised with you. And I got my reply. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
No problem. Dr. G. Aruna?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. You know, you have really condensed it in a nutshell. Yeah, my biggest takeaway was when I took over as an independent director of an agronutrient company. I'm a chemical.
Jara जोर से madam, a little louder. I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you can.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So recently I took over. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm a PhD in chemical engineering. I recently took over as an independent director of an agronutrient company. So my first request to them before the board meeting was that I wanted to visit the plant, and I just wanted to visit the plants, sir, their plant facilities. I'll just put it, plant. Sir, I'm writing it down. Their plant facilities.
Yeah,
I had
that's okay,
requested
ma'am.
them. Okay.
Yeah,
The
please go
CEO
ahead.
Yeah, so you can see.
I have not understood your question.
Sir,
But
I
the
said
question
my
is yet to
biggest,
come.
Acha, okay.
yeah. So my biggest takeaway from you was when I took over as an independent director, I requested them for a visit to the plant facility.
Of course,
Okay.
of course, of course.
Yeah, and then the CEO was very
Of course.
accommodating.
Very good point. You must insist on the
Yeah.
board if they have their major operations are in a plant somewhere or their major operations, how they are done, what happens.
Exactly. I have been.
So I think you must know what it does, how it is manufactured, what
Yeah, yeah.
happens, what is distribution. Otherwise,
Exactly.
board will just become a,
Exactly, sir.
absolutely a boring place.
I got a very good response from them. They had arranged for a site
Absolutely.
visit.
I think you have your own, you design your own induction program.
Yeah. So then I even told them, I gave them certain plans and all that for induction
Yeah.
programs, and they were very positive in their response. So, pardon,
Yeah.
sir? They were very positive in their response. They arranged for a site meeting. They arranged
Very
for.
good. Very good.
Yeah.
So you have to
So, and I
ask.
have given some plans and
Can I have
proposals
madam,
also.
can we have the question very sharp and brief, please?
No, sir. It was a takeaway. That's all.
Okay.
Oh, that's very good, madam. You insisted and they did it. That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. I'm moving on to Mr. Zarir Pantaki. Mr. Zarir?
Yes, please. Good
Sure, sir,
afternoon.
please come in.
Good afternoon. I'm talking regarding the evaluation of directors. Mr. Khandelwal, as Mr. Khandelwal said, we get pages and pages of evaluation and to tick mark. And it becomes more of an exercise of compliance rather than really evaluation. Can the evaluation process be designed to be more actual, exactly what is going on rather than what is given as a statement to you to tick mark and give marks?
Now,
Also,
again, you have a choice. I had a board where for 2 years this exercise was going on. There was one board member who never opened his mouth. Never in 2 years. He came perhaps from a deaf and dumb school. He never opened his mouth. But he was very important because he was promoter's son, one of the promoter's son. Now, who should bell the cat? And it was pointed out in the evaluation that this gentleman has not spoken for 3 years, and this. Nothing happened. It was spoken out. So what I'm trying to say is, it is not that you and I can change the world, including boards. But please use your capacity to contribute. That what is not right. Bas khatam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, can I invite Kamalji Sahai, please? Kamalji, do you have a point to share or a question to make? Sir, unmute yourself, please, first.
Okay, are you able to listen?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let me see your face.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Khandelwal.
Such a handsome
namaskar.
man you are, and you are not showing your face. Yeah.
I think you can see my video. Yeah. You're able to see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fine. Oh, I have also now very long experience, but I also have a feeling that finally the promoters have a say in the meetings, and they want to short circuit some important decisions or discussions. This happens, and in spite of pointing out very clearly that the minute must contain or include these remarks, I find when the minute comes finally, it doesn't include those remarks. And then in spite of pointing out, you point out, then you just spend some time, again it will come to you in the same manner. So how to ensure that minutes are really high fidelity minutes?
Yes, it's a very frequent problem experienced. If you think the point you have made is significant for the working of the company or for articulating something that you think is important and substantive, you can insist and you can write. If they can send you same minutes twice without doing anything, you can write 3 times that this is not acceptable, I don't put my signature.
I do that.
But you look such a smiling
keep it on
gentleman.
record in the email. I keep it on record, but finally I find that in the
So you
name
also
of
talk to
time
you also talk to other directors who can give you
we
advice.
do.
I also feel this way. You see, please understand, it is not ganging up in the board. It is creating consensus amongst other directors. It is an application of pressure and counter pressure. Some promoters apply pressure, then directors should be able to equal and opposite counter pressure.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
You don't have to fight, but if you are forced to do something, but it is a good idea to create consensus. If it does not take place,
but how?
Then Rabindranath Tagore said, "Ekla chalo re."
Yeah. How to impress upon the promoters that they need to pay attention to certain minute things, and they need to be recorded. For them, I find, and their employees or the executive directors also, they have a different kind of thinking altogether. That's some kind of shortcut they want to adopt.
Like I don't know the matter, my dear, whether you are on the right track or not. If the matter is, I would say, substantive, an issue of principles, and you strongly feel, you must send it in writing. You must speak in the next board meeting in presence of everyone. Problem is, the same promoter appoints you. Sometimes he's a friend, sometimes he's this thing, he's useful in many ways. So it requires guts to really speak out. This is a real problem. Anyway, I can only tell you that much.
Great, sir. Can I invite Dr. Anupam, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. So firstly, much gratitude to you. I can very much resonate with everything you said.
Thank you,
For
sir.
the last 18 years, I have been on different boards, right from public sector companies to private companies.
Great.
I used to be the former vice chairman of Infotech Corporation of Goa.
Oh,
And I really resonate with everything you said. So thank you very much.
thank
Second
you.
is that
With these comments, with these kind of comments, I feel quite encouraged about what I talk, because I've always talked this way. And, you know, that is the only thing you have control over, nothing else.
yes, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So my question to you was not really about the role of directors, but you know, of your vast experience in banking, I just wanted to hear from you about your wisdom about what is happening in the banking sector over the last decade or so, when the entire KYC in banking has been inverted upside down. And since the entire risk management in the banking sector depends on the onboarding of customers and the control of transactions that you have between the payers and the payees, all of that has now become completely opaque with technology. And
Your question
particularly
is,
where no party is given the responsibility that the banker used to have earlier. So your comments and maybe your wisdom about, you know, how can we protect our banking sector from the kind of risk it has been exposed to?
well, my initial comment is that situation is not as complex as perhaps it is coming to you. Bankers, unfortunately, are asked to do million things in a short time. There's so much of change, and they are trying to do with their limitations. It is not that KYC is done now. KYC is available in every damn thing. Sometimes I feel there is too much KYC in everything. So there is KYC, there are risk management practices, but I tell you, large systems are always prone to mishaps. Banks are also accident prone. But you see the millions of customers, millions and billions of transactions. And I think within their limitations, they are trying to do what they can do, but there is a huge scope to improve.
Great,
So you
sir.
don't worry.
Can we take up next question?
Yeah.
Surya, can you please come in?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? This is Surya GD Gunta.
I can.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. My question is, recently SEBI has initiated a discussion paper on dual approval process for the appointment of independent directors. Dual approval process. Once the board selects independent director,
Understood.
it has to be approved again by the majority of the minority shareholders. So do you think, what is your view on this? Do you think like it will improve the governance and also the ability to get some
Not
good
at all.
quality
Not at all. It will delay. Likewise, one can say that there has to be dual approval of every law in the parliament. That first the majority approves and then the minority approves. I don't think it is a workable solution. I am suggesting what is most important is the culture part, not the compliance part. You may have 3 layers. It will delay, I tell you. Second thing you tell me, you want one of the best person as the board member. Suppose one layer, majority layer has approved, minority does not approve. What will happen to his reputation? You tell me. Will anybody like to come to a board where there is a dual this thing?
Okay, sir.
So I think it is like having a lock with dual key. I think better improve the culture that there are less thefts. Then you will only do with a single key lock. So this dual and 3, they are, see, the problem with our regulations are that they are always thinking some person on an armchair thing is fantasizing what more rules we can put. And I have my serious reservations on whether this is workable. Personal view, personal view.
Great.
But I am in complete agreement of one thing, which I always felt, that independent directors, while putting their resignations, are not putting reasons. Somebody puts a health reason and next day he joined 3 more boards. This is pure dishonesty. And therefore, SEBI has rightly said that there must be a 1-year cooling period. I'm actually for 3 years cooling period. You can't have people that today you say, today you leave Kingfisher board and next day you join their second company. This is not done.
That's right, sir. Now, can I request Sheetal to come in quickly? We are almost towards the close of the program. We'll be accommodating just one more question from Lalit. Be ready. Sheetal to come in, please.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, thank you very much for your wisdom, sir, for sharing your wisdom. My question is, what documents we have to keep in our records with respect to the company in which we are independent directors, and how long this should be preserved with us?
I never preserve anything. I only talk. I don't preserve things because then my house will become a go down. Because so many agenda papers, so many things. Why do you want to preserve? Important thing, if you think something needs to, for your own this thing, maybe a year. If you want to look at back papers, but if you want to create a record against the company, I don't think that is the objective of a director. The objective of director is to speak out in the board meeting and pursue things if something is terribly wrong, and in an extreme situation, hit the board. So why you want to keep?
So tomorrow, if minority group itself, they ask or they question our decision making thing, or if it is not recorded, the dissents are not recorded in the minutes, then in that case, how should we prove it that no, we had actually
I
dissented?
don't think individually you have to prove as a board member. Who will ask you individually to prove? Tell me. And you can always get on request those agenda papers from the company. Nobody can refuse. Why you have to prove? You don't have to prove to individuals, to minority, that ex-director has to prove this. I don't think so. Agencies can ask you if some fraud has taken place or something has taken place or the matter has gone to CBI or police, they can ask you. Still you can get the papers. You should be very clear in your mind that you have not been a party to a wrong. And therefore, speaking up is very necessary. When you need to speak up, agendas are not clear or your viewpoint is not recorded. I think those are the things on continuous basis. If you think, but don't be suspicious that company is doing something hanky-panky. You will know what this company, its board is all about, what is the promoter's credentials. First of all, that if you are joining a board, you should do a lot of Googling on the directors and the promoter company and all that. You should not join every Tom, Dick and Harry board. You should do due diligence on the board and the promoter. And should not show the desperation to join a board. You should be sought after. And this will happen when you create a knowledge base and the character that yes, she or he can contribute. But don't be desperate. I find many people sending me their biodata as if I appoint board. Sir, मुझे किसी board में लगवा दीजिए. So these are desperate people. मुझे सब बोर्ड में लगवा दीजिए. मैंने कहा भाई क्यों? Why? नहीं आपके तो contacts हैं. मैंने कहा मेरे nobody wants me in their board. I tell you, I'm a risk in the board. You are dialing a wrong number.
That's right, sir.
But why people are desperate? I've never understood. और लोग कहते हैं अरे बोर्ड सीजन चल रहा है अभी सब जगह वो क्वार्टरली मीटिंग है. आई एम गोइंग टू दिस बोर्ड, फ्रॉम देयर आई हैव टू गो टू दैट बोर्ड, फ्रॉम देयर आई हैव टू गो टू थर्ड बोर्ड. माय गॉड, some of my friends are so desperate. When you are desperate, you are likely to be very accommodative. You are likely to sleep in half the board meetings. You are likely to ignore important issues. You are creating a booby trap for yourself. I'm telling you. Board, more than 3 board is like second marriage, third marriage, fourth marriage. More than 3 boards.
Great, sir. So the message is very loud and clear. If you allow, can I invite Renu, please? Renu, do you have a question or a point to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I really liked your session, Mr. Khandelwal.
Thank you. I'm so touched.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I think the points you made about speaking up is very, very critical if we have to make a contribution. What is your view on diversity on the board? I know you're...
I'm against diversity for the sake of having more women on the board. Let me tell you.
Okay.
I want competent women on the board. I want women who can speak up. I want women who bring value to the board. And there are enough, Renu, there are enough women in this category. To say we can't find such a women is wrong, absolutely. But
I agree with you completely. Yeah, I agree with you. There are women.
But to say that some consulting organizations about research, if there are more women, there is a better profitability, there is a gentle atmosphere in the board. Hey, what nonsense they are talking. I tell you, and Rome was not built in a day, but you got to have sensitivity that you can't have all male board, or you can't have only symbolic one woman on the board. I would like to see in India boards which are at least out of 15 people, 5 women are there.
Correct. They have to be treated on merit.
But today we are on symbolism.
Correct.
We are on a symbolism today. So I am against symbolism. But there are enough, I tell you, I meet brilliant women and I get lot of complex. यार हम तो क्या सोचते थे ladies के बारे में इतनी होशियार हैं. Believe me, my current complex is vis-a-vis women. They have gone so high. Look at technology में इतनी women हैं. I feel I'm illiterate in technology. Look at these women. Most famous companies in India are headed by women. Accenture, IBM, this, that. That is my complex. कि हम तो बहुत पीछे रह गए भाई. And still you don't find women for the board. But I'm against symbolism. There has to be X number, and then you bring your sister-in-law and your brother's girlfriend you bring and all that. Those kind of things I'm against.
Thank you. Your session was very, very useful and enlightening. Thank you.
It's worth talking to such wise group of people. It's a great pleasure. And I wish that surely whatever best I can always. My email is aakk1948@gmail.com if anyone wants to really get in touch with me. I think he will circulate. And kya naam hai, Neeraj? Now, you may like to, one habit of the board member I would like to comment. You must read. Not the agenda papers that you may read. You must read good books, I tell you.
That's right.
One thing that has sustained me, continuous writing, even after retirement, I'm showing these 4 books I've written. Previous to that 4. Right. You keep on, you see, some of you are very good thinkers. आप लिखिए, आप पढ़िए. Then you can bring different perspectives in the board.
Right.
And there is a life beyond agenda, I can tell you. There is a life beyond agenda. If you are a versatile person, you can bring a lot of good things in the board. That's what I would say.
That's great, sir. And the message is very clear.
Another question, any question further? You see, these one thing, lot of slides I have not shown because the time was short. Lot of slides on the culture I have not shown. Because for every half an hour session, I devote 5 hours. Yes, sir, Mirza Saab. Unmute. Unmute.
Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Dr. Khandelwal. Bahut shukriya. And I think with your experience and your talk, you know, it's a real guiding time, a time that well spent among some fresh directors on boards. I am from Hyderabad. I am an independent director of a company here. Sir, when we are talking about evaluation of the board, what we did is we designed forms for different directors, whether it's the CEO or the chairman or the directors, or including executive directors. So how can we judge it as a yardstick, the adequacy of that form? That's my question to you, sir. Thank you.
My dear sir, forms are not important. What do you do of the input you get in whatever forms you get? Suppose you get in the best of the form an input that X director is dysfunctional. What do you do of that problem? That NRC should discuss, call that director. And you know, that is more important for me than the forms. Everyone knows that X or Y directors are dysfunctionally contributing, they are hijacking the board, they are talking too much. I am most interested how this message should go through there than the forms. Forms are a vehicle.
Exactly, sir. I agree with your point. So what we do is, if I have to not restrict myself to the question and answers in the form, we have also provided a box for comments.
But in our country, people will never write comments. We only criticize in absence. We don't want to create record for our, my dear sir, please understand our country's culture also.
Well, I guess instead of understanding the country's culture as a whole, I must understand the culture of my board first.
Definitely, very correct. Very
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Khandelwal sir. Shukriya.
Shukriya.
Thank you, sir. So here I would like to seek a permission from you all to close the session.
I think we could not take question of gentleman that Mr. Anirudh. We could not take question because I could not hear him.
Yeah, Anirudh, you are there?
Yes.
Unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, very much.
How to be effective on the where every board meeting there is a change in the constitution and almost 1/3 of the board keeps on changing every board meeting. As an independent director, how to be effective on such a board?
Neeraj, would you?
No, I was not able to get the point. Anirudh,
I am also, because your voice somehow is
a bit. Can you place
I'm
your
not able to get
at a
your-
distance, please?
So how to be effective on the board of a company where every board meeting there is a change in the board composition. Almost 1/3 of the board keeps on changing every 3 months.
Okay, sir, I could somehow
Yeah,
try to
please tell me,
understand.
please tell me.
Yeah, what he's saying, actually, he is on the board of a company which I believe, if I'm not wrong, whatever I could understand, a smart city, company which as part of a smart city mission government has created across various cities.
Okay.
So he's facing some challenge where every board meeting, some new appointees. Am I right, Anirudh?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, some new
Absolutely.
appointees come up, means every time he gets a new team to discuss on the agenda. So how to be effective on that?
I can't help on this. I can't
It's
help
a
on what can I do? I don't appoint people on that. Yes, this is a very serious constraint.
Yeah.
Very serious constraint. And the power that you should write to them how it is becoming dysfunctional to deal with this kind of nothing more, nothing less. And last is, you should seriously consider whether you should waste your time on this.
Seriously, actually, thank you.
I think instead of thinking of ways to be effective, you should better choose a way to get rid of it
Yeah,
as faster
there are a
as
lot of
possible.
good boards, I tell you. Lot of good boards where you can learn. And I think most important thing is whether you have a learning board.
That's
Lot
right.
of good people you can learn in the board from them. Keep your eyes and ears open. Give them dignity to speak. And I tell you, there are some really good boards I learned. Very good boards.
Great, sir. So we are moving towards the end, and with your kind permission, I'm just in one line, endorsing the great feedback which I could see in the chat box. I'm sure you can have an access to and see. The session has been taken very well, found very insightful, very informative, very lucid, and very practical, which definitely is going to help independent directors finding solutions to the doubts or confusions they have in mind as a way out for being more effective, finding a more effective board, and finding opportunities to contribute further. I would like to thank on behalf of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs and Independent Directors Data Bank. I would like to thank for sparing your time, your insights, and as participants are requesting, we would be very happy to have you in some other panel discussion as well, as they want you back again with your kind permissions whenever the time allows. And with this, I would seek permission to close the program.
Thank you, Neeraj. First of all, I'm grateful to you for giving me opportunity to interact with more than 100 people. And
So there
I
were
feel
250.
I feel really blessed and encouraged by the fact that there was something that I could share and also learn from their questions. You know, one who speaks, my learning is your questions as to what is bothering you, what is it that we are still debating about the boards. So it has been a great learning for me. And Neeraj, I mean it. I'm very grateful to you for giving me this opportunity.
And one thing, sir, if you allow, I would like to add, of course, you have better experience and insight, but one thing which has touched me to a larger extent and a very loud message for independent directors as well, that we need to be, we need to avoid from any moral hazard, and also at times when by any chance we get onto a juncture, we are resigning or leaving a board. So enumerating right reasons, being more ethical is very, very important.
Yes, yes.
And
I
that's
tell you, if
the
you
power.
enumerate reasons, promoters will be disciplined, I'm telling you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if only by way of raising these questions that promoters don't listen, because oftentimes in the programs we listen from the participants that promoters are not listening or not recording what all questions they are raising or objections they are raising. But question is, if we leave the board with a very loud and clear message, it becomes exemplary, and it sets a benchmark, which in any case.
If I can tell you something, don't chase boards, don't chase board membership, don't chase. Develop name and competence and a brand that you are chased. I would say that.
Great, sir. Great. A very good closing line. So with this, I would like to close and thank you once again. Stay safe, healthy. And the same is the wish for all the dear participants. We'll meet again with a new program next week. Till then, bye-bye.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. So kind of you. So kind of you.
Thank you so much, sir.